couldn't get online on the assigned time I wanted to. So here we are. It's another day of my rambles to learn, to know, just to give opinions, and I'm not responsible for each one's interpretation. But and I am also you're not also responsible for my interpretation, and this is for entertainment purposes only. So last week here in Kenya we had we're in rainy season, I guess, somehow. But yeah, but last week, Thursday and Friday was extreme. Here in my county, I'm in Kajiado. Uh, it's known for having flash floods, usually high risk of flash floods because we're in the hilly highlands, and it rains on the hillside, and then maybe doesn't rain on the other side, and water just comes out of nowhere. That's a well-known fact. But well, last week the rain did something that we have seen. Some of us who were born in the 90s and those who are born in 80s and earlier on, we have seen it happen. And I remember the long regime of second president, who was Moi, the late Moi. We used to have trenches, like, because of the flash floods, especially in our area, the water will carry off sand. Since here it's very high, the sand is the what's it called, black cotton kind of sand, and it's carried out a lot. So when and we know the known fact about black cotton sand is soil, not sand, soil. It's when it gets wet, it doubles up in size, and when it gets dry it shrinks excessively. And that's why in building industry we advocate for uh, excavation of that type of sand, because once you build on top of such sand, your house will have a lot of cracks, and maybe that's one of the reasons why some of the buildings are collapsing, maybe. So that's well-known fact about where I've grown up, uh, and where I'm still staying as a grown up. Now, uh, in history, we have known Nairobi has been described as the term Nairobi means cool area. Hi, welcome. In case you have your experience with flooding, please comment below. Uh, Welcome, Charlene. Then Nairobi is, I remember in our GHC, that's the old curriculum, the very old curriculum, which means geography, history, and civics. Um, Nairobi was termed as, it was interpreted as, the name Nairobi means cool waters to some people, and to others means water point. I think it was an oasis or something. And to others means cool. Was everywhere. Everyone has a different. Oh, hi, Charlene. Sorry. So, one thing about Nairobi, hi Lincoln, welcome, is it's on a lower ground. It's like on a valley, because now from Kajiado, where I live in Ngong Hills, it's hilly and it goes down, and all the water from our place goes to Nairobi and the environs. Thank you for the compliment. Hi, Johnny. Welcome. And in case you have any experience with floods, please comment on the comment section. Oh, thank you for that compliment, Lincoln. Hi. Um, so time and time again, it has happened. Once it rains on our side, which is the hilly side, all the water goes to the Nairobi area and it's environed, mostly towards another county, which is called Machakos after Nairobi. It's Kajiado, then Nairobi, then Machakos. And another geographical placement. Hi, thank you for the compliment. Uh, wow, that's a Jacob. I'll say the one that I can see. So, like Ngong Hills is it's called the mother, or where the source of the river Athi River is the one of the longest one in Kenya. So it comes from Ngong Hills, and it goes. The one thing about amazing fact about it, it doesn't have as much tributaries as the other side of the river that we know that comes from the Mount Kenya region, which is River Tana. So at the river has like yes it has attributes, but tributaries, but it the amazing facts about it, it goes through dry places a lot, like the stretch, and it doesn't dry up, mainly because sometimes it's the people who release their sewer system to the roads, and yeah, it ends up to that road. uh yeah, anyway, so time and time again we have seen, if it rains here in Ngong, all water goes towards Nairobi, its environs, and Machakos, and that's where it floods a lot because it's on the lower ground. Now, tell me why our lead. I say they'll never call them leaders again, because they don't. That one is served for only people who do the better part of for the people. Anyway, politicians, time and time again, when the budget is read, there's always an allocation for disaster management money, emergency money, and it's not never the same amount every year, year in, year out here in Kenya. I don't know about your country. Hello and welcome. Thank you for the subscription. Uh, so tell me why this had on Friday is when it really took a toll, because Nairobi was flooded all over. I was wading in the water. Uh, where I passed through, the water was knee high to my height, which I am 5'10". So you can imagine that's a lot of water to some people. I had, we call them gumboots, plastic boots for that we use during rainy seasons and muddy seasons. But they didn't help at all, because water, my feet were, I was wading in the water. I even sang wading in the water. So, and let me not make joke about it, because um, after the disaster that happened on Friday of flooding, all over the drain holes, the drain trenches were over flooding, and Nairobi roads became rivers or streams. No, streams are calm, raging rivers, and people died. Properties were lost, still damaged, and some houses up to date, their basement is full of water. Now we have, I think I'm going to throw some people under the bus. The governor of Nairobi, this is now no, are we just last week, came out and said that they need money to revisit and renovate or rebuild or build new drainage system. That's fine. That's fine. But why are we forgetting that every year the county have uh, a kitty for disaster management and can be used? Then again, tell me why. Because last year, January, same thing happened. Flooding happened. And he even had to take lifeboats to save some people. And according to their records, they uh, removed people from riparian areas. Okay, well and good. You did that. But then again, now people are not in riparian areas have suffered through the flooding and the damage and life lost. So what's the excuse now? Is the major question I'm I'm thinking of or pondering about, because now another question comes about. He said he grew up in the era that he saw El Nino. El Nino is a season of rain that we experienced when we were young, that flooded all, like no parts of Kenya was spared. It was flooding all over because of a long drought season. And this happened last year. November, we were supposed to have either short rains or long rains, depending on the part of the country. But now it didn't rain. And we know when we have long spell of no rain, we have flooding season coming up. So in other words, the counties were not prepared. Then the counties that suffered mostly the flash floods, like ours, didn't, because all the water. I'm telling you, I wish I had the photos of showing you that sand, how it was dusty now that it rained heavily Thursday and Friday. Here in Ngong Hills, all the sand was carried. Now we have rubbles on the road and gravel. Muddy, yes, portions, but not so much. Hi and welcome, Egypt Country Ball. So have you experienced flooding in your country, and how did was it managed? Is all I want to know, because, well, our politicians want to emulate other countries. They say they want to make Kenya like Singapore. Truth to nature's wrath, we became Singapore. In Nairobi, people are swimming and wading in the water. And sorry for the people who lost their lives, but could it have been avoided? Most probably. But yeah, we say in our Swahili saying, um, accidents have no cure. But can it be prevented is my question. Um, I remember back in the day when I was growing up, yeah, I'm old. Um, we used to have landslides also in central part, especially in Murang'a County, Kirinyaga County, the hill. Now, the counties next to Mount Kenya. Let me give you like geographical placing. Uh, it's slopey, and even we make light and make joke that don't marry girls from those countries, because while going to pay dowry, it's a hiking expedition. If you're not used to hilly places, don't try. And I'm speaking that my father's side, that's their home area. I like highlands areas. Living in highlands, I think that weather, the coldness, the cold, that's me. And obviously I was born in July, so cold with me, like tight. So we used to have those, but nowadays I don't know what they did. The counties, okay, there is the sometimes you hear some of it happening, but not as much as it used to, because back then you'll hear World Cup that a whole slope has slid, and families have been trapped and lost lives. But nowadays, I think after people started farming or doing the trans terrace farming has helped cap that a bit. And also it was encouraged to plant trees, which also helping the roots catch on the soil, which is good. But now, like towns like Nairobi shouldn't have such issues about drainage because it's the capital, for one, and it's one of the counties that have a lot of revenue coming back, which will also be developing for the county, paying the county's uh, wellness, if I may say. Because back, our neighbor from Kajiado, you go to Narok County, where is also the tourist destination for what's called Masai Mara Park. That town had an issue of flooding. And once devolution happened here in Kenya, which is back in 2010, when once from the national government, now we have the devolution government of counties. That's back when we had provinces and PCs as the head. Uh, the town of Narok used to flood like what I saw in Nairobi, but now it doesn't flood anymore since now devolution happened and the county had to uh, make their county better um, drainage and also maintain how the county was, not the shabby small. It was a small town, but now it's become a hub because of the tourist attraction, and that's also the place that people pass by while going to different destinations. But mostly because of Masai Mara, it has helped. Except now we have another issue about Masai Mara having a privateer hotelier making a hotel next to where the great migration is happening. Is just ugh, politics playing around. But anyway, ooh, if only governance was done right. That's all I can say. If only it was done right and professionally right, without shortcuts or without substandard jobs, I think everything will be done well and people will prevent the accidents. That's all. So I thank you all for those who joined, commented. Hi Charlene, welcome again. Hi Johnny, thanks for the compliment. Um, thank you. Hi, ooh, Jacob. That name is long, but anyway, Ramsuni. Ooh, yeah, that one. Hi Lincoln, thank you. Um, thank you all for the subscription and listening to my rambles. Yeah, today it went a little off political, but I needed to rant because it really bugged me on Friday after experiencing the flood and wading in the water and also staying in traffic for more than 3 hours. That was not enjoyable at all. Even I was even thinking when I was on my way home, I wish I would have stayed in the office and slept in the office instead of dealing with the wetness, the craziness, and seeing accidents that were wow. And also videos going around after getting home, seeing videos going around the internet, cars flooding, being carried off. It was a sad state. And also we have heard of the accidents that happen, not just cars being swept away, not just people being drowning. There was also electrical poles falling into the water and electrocuting people to death. It was just a mess. At least today they have cut trees next to the lighting poles and whatever, but still, it will have been done beforehand. And also, we know we sometimes ignore the weatherman or the meteorological department because most of the time they get it wrong, but they did warn us. Like for those 2 days, they did warn us that it will be bad. And people are like, ah, that's the normal way. But anyways, sometimes not well to take things lightly, backfires, but to each their own. I feel lighter that I shared that. Otherwise, have a lovely night. Bye bye until next week.